Greetings, cultivators worldwide. It's Worldwide December here on Growcast. Jordan River here, broadcasting straight out of Siberia. That's right. Today we are in Chicago. We're talking to Chitown Cannachica. Maybe you've seen this very talented grower who is in the Chicago area. She's up on Instagram, has a great following there. She hasn't been growing for long, but she's had great success, and she was a perfect candidate for Worldwide December as we talk about the Chicago winters, the swings in temperatures, different indoor-outdoor methods you can implement, and all the lessons that she has kind of implemented to grow such quality cannabis in such a short time cultivating. You're going to love today's episode as we go around the globe and the country talking to different cultivators of different walks of life. Before we get into it with the Cannachica herself, going to give some love to Photon Tech Lighting, baby. Get to their website easily by going to growcastpodcast.com/photon. Save 10% with code GROWCAST once you're there, and enjoy their brand new SQ series, the square models. One of the biggest complaints about Photon Tech is their lights were pretty big. They got the 465 watt. That's perfect for a 4x4. Going to max out your lighting capability there. They've got the 600, the X600, and that's perfect for a 5x5. That'll max you out there. And they've got the 1000 watt for anything above that, or if you're running CO2. But for a while, they didn't have 2x2 or 3x3 options. Now they do. The SQ series. Code GROWCAST saves you 10% across the site at Photon Tech Lighting. And these are high quality magnetic bar style lights. Well, the larger ones anyways. And that's what's really nice about the magnetic style. First of all, setting them up is insanely easier. If that is a problem for you, if you are maybe an older individual or you don't have, you're not quite as strong as you used to be lifting up these UFOs or grow lights, get a magnetic bar style so you can just assemble it on the floor and ratchet it up. You never have to fucking lift the thing. It is way easier to set up. But also, you can take off those magnetic bars if you only need to use, say, half your tent for a while. So it's really cool. Photon Tech is making the best. And we're also going to speak with Photon Tech live on air, so stay tuned for that. growcastpodcast.com/photon. Code GROWCAST for 10% off. Thank you to the beautiful Photon Tech Lighting. That sexy red, baby. All right, let's get into it with Chitown Cannachica. Thank you for listening, everybody, and enjoy the show. Hello, podcast listeners. You are now listening to Growcast. I'm your host, Jordan River, and I want to thank you for tuning in today. Before we get started, as always, please share Growcast. Tell a grower about the show. It really, really helps me out. That's all I ask you do. If the show has helped you, help us out and tell a grower. Make sure you're subscribed so you can catch every episode. And make sure to check out membership, of course, at growcastpodcast.com/membership. So many great things going on there. This month we are going local. We're going worldwide and we're going local. We're focusing in on regions around the United States and around the world. So we're hopping region to region, focusing on the cannabis scenes there, focusing on the climate in these different regions, how the kind of cultures differ state to state and country to country. It's a very, very exciting month of content that we have lined up for you here, all December long. And I'm happy to start in the Midwest I was going to say where I was born. I was actually born in Missouri, but I moved to Illinois when I was very, very young. So we're starting in the Midwest. We have much more to come, so stay tuned. But you're going to want to listen to all these episodes because it's going to really show the differences and the nuances of the cannabis industry and also help people in these locales. So, like I said, today we're out here in the cold Midwest, December, as this episode drops. And our first guest is a very talented Chicagoland grower. We'll get into all that. You can find her on Instagram as Chitown Cannachica. How you doing today, Cannachica? What's going on?
Excellent. Wow, I appreciate the accolades.
Well, of course. I know that you haven't been growing super long, but my God, you are very talented. I have to say, your page is impressive. Your flowers turn out very, very photogenic and frosty, but you also do a good job photographing them. So I got to give you props, Cannachica.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Like I mentioned, you've been growing for just over a year. I'm really surprised to see this type of quality. I mean, a year into my grow, I was lucky to just kind of copy some successful people's styles, but I feel like you've got a very, very good handle on your garden, on your quality for, 2 years in.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like, so a little background. If you were to ever see me walking down the street, you'd see me in probably a business suit, high heels, and you'd have no idea in the world that I'm a cannabis grower. So
no kidding.
Yeah. And I sell very, very expensive pieces of equipment to very cheap clients. And one of my philosophies is always buy once, cry once. And it always drives me nuts when I talk to my clients. And like, it's like $150,000 investment to make them literally thousands of dollars a month. But they say, no, no, no. And I kind of had that same philosophy when it came to growing. Like everybody, I was like, I've got to get this to do as cheap as I can. But after a while, I just kind of like gave in and just started just buying nice equipment. And
Wow.
it made all of the difference with lighting.
Starting off on the right foot. I like that.
Yeah, lighting, environmental control, and just biting the bullet on it. You know what I mean? Like you're like, oh, I can buy this $150 light on eBay or Amazon. And you're like, no, I just get this like $700,000 light off of Chilled Grow Craft or whomever.
Yeah, 700 to 1,000. Yeah, $700,000 light. Now that's new. That's new. Well, I saw you running the Photon Tech. I like that, right? You got the sexy Photon Tech red in your garden, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't.
What? How did I not see? Oh, there was a giveaway. That's why I got confused.
Yeah, I have four very nice lights. I have a Sunflex LED, which is about 800 watts. Got a Spectra Phaser 660. And those are the drivers mounted inside. So those are what I call my winter lights. And then I have Chilled Grow Craft 600 and 1,000 watts, which I run in the summer, where you can mount the driver outside of the room or the tent to keep it cooler, which is a big issue.
Absolutely. We're going to get into that in a moment. But yeah, those chilled are so sick. I really like that company and that brand. We should reach out to them and see what's up because I've heard nothing but good reviews, from all the light testers, from the people who are running them. But anyways, we're already off and running. Let's make sure that we get, your background and start off at the beginning here. Sure. Again, Chitown Cannachica on Instagram. Go and give her a follow. That's where she's posting all of her cannabis stuff and cultivating her following. Definitely worth a follow. But tell me, this is a regional grow feature. Tell me a little bit about your background in Illinois, like, when you came here, if you were born here and that sort of thing. And then what brought you to start growing, even though you're, like you said, rolling around in a business suit during the day.
Yeah. So, born and raised in Chicago, and I only lived in Iowa for 4 years for college. After that, I came back to Illinois and lived with my parents for a little while after college. And long story short, my dad is a long-time cannabis user. Oh. My dad's even been shot for cannabis when he was 17 in Medina a long time ago. Kind of a big deal, but yeah. So anyways, he's been doing it longer than I've been born, and he built me a house, which I paid for, but my dad's a carpenter. So he's 62. His body is beat to hell. His hands are rough, his joints ache. But the man's still doing it. He works hard doing it, and he literally needs medicine, and he built my house. So one of the things that I could do for him was, about 3-4 years ago, he got in a fight with this guy who he's been supplying him growing for him for years. And the guy's like, you need to buy like pounds at a time. My dad's like, just want to get an ounce at a time.
Oh, no. Minimum sale went up, buckaroo.
Yeah, minimum sale went up. And the guy moved from Illinois to Michigan. And he started doing a grow in Michigan, and he was driving back and forth. And he's like, the price went up. Now you owe me like $250 an ounce and blah, blah, blah. So, and I'm kind of like not a long time cannabis user, just like here and there. Before all this, I probably used maybe 4 or 5 times a year, if that type of thing.
Oh, wow.
Nothing heavy. Yeah, nothing heavy. Just kind of like, hey, I need to sleep. Let me take an edible, or like I'll take a couple puffs. I'm going to be going to bed or whatever.
Using responsibly. Yeah. Something I'm not familiar with.
Yeah. So it was never, you see your parents doing it, and it's more medicinal for them and whatever. And like, you never wanted to pay for it until it became A, legal in Illinois, and then B, I just went to the doctor and got a thing, and I was like, you know what? And so after that, so after he got in a fight with this guy, I should say, is like, here my father is hitting me and my siblings up, who are in our late 30s, to go hit up our friends to find weed for him.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm like getting ounces from this guy, and from California, who, this guy lives in Illinois, and he's like, oh, I got to connect. And
I'll mail it. I'll just mail the Cali weed across, because the dispensaries are so horribly overpriced. None of it's organic.
I have no idea where this guy was getting it, but he said it was from California. And it was like, it was platinum garlic. It was like a lot of in-house stuff, good stuff. And, but I was having to literally go over to his house and pick it up, like, every other week. And I'm like, I can't keep doing this. And then I was getting it from another friend. And he was gouging my dad. And I was like, you know what, you guys, I'm done. I went to the doctor. I got a card. If you were to register my card, it's probably been only used in like Las Vegas, never in Illinois. But yeah, so I got a medical card just so they couldn't take my house away. And I did start the cheap way. I got some cheap lights and cut Autoflowers from Seedsman right off the bat.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So I started growing, and my first harvest ever was right around September 2020. So I popped my first seeds in June, and then I harvested them in like September, October, and that's when I had my first harvest ever for my dad to try. And he was just like, eh. And it's one of those things as a kid, you just want to try to like do better and better and make your dad happy. And,
well, what is the difference between that and then that high, super quality primo? And then you do a little digging. Maybe you change up the genetics, like you said. Not trying to shit on seedsmen or anything there, but that is a common story, though, which is like you go in pretty blind. Unless you fucking do a ton of reading and listen to hours of podcasts before you even get started, you're going to like misfire your first time. But I really like this story because it kind of speaks to a mission that Growcast has shifted towards, which is getting smokers to start growing. There's so much interest in cannabis, and there's so much, there's so many people out there smoking and enjoying it, but so few actually grow it. And so instead of just catering to growers, which is something we're always going to do, we're really trying to get people to switch over to growing from just smoking and buying. So your story is exactly the kind of avatar that I love to dig into. But goddamn, you've really come a long way in 2 years if you said that first one was meh, because can we dig into that before we get into the specifics? What changes did you implement? Obviously, you went and you only fuck with some fire genetics, I see, and you got a better light, but go ahead. Don't let me put answers in your mouth.
Yeah. So, going in blind, like not knowing anything. So you place your order from these guys. You literally don't get your order for I remember I placed the order on my birthday. It was like May 31st because my dad came back to my aunt's house. He's like, hey, your cousins are going to start growing weed. I'm like, man, they are? I'm going to try this. So I remember I placed that order. And I didn't get it till like June. In the meantime, I'm watching like YouTube channels, and I'm watching, I love these guys on Instagram, Beginner Buds. They do a nice production, nice show on YouTube, and you fall victim to you think that because of their high production and their show, they kind of know what they're doing. And it sounds like they know what they're doing, but it reminds me of in my business, there's a lot of people who are blowhards that sound like they know what they're doing, but they kind of really don't. So I'm my first order was Autoflower. I don't want to shit on them. I love those guys. They help me out so much. But after a while, you're like, come on, you guys, you got to be doing better by now.
It's interesting. What specifically, like you said, starting with Autoflowers is interesting because you try to pick a strategy that you think will be good. And for instance, beginner buds, right? What's good for beginners? I would personally put someone on a photo period in the beginning. Maybe 100%. Someone could argue against that. But to me, first of all, understanding the different cycles of the plant's growth is crucial. And then also just the fact that beginner growers often do have some sort of mishap. And with an autoflower, if you have a mishap, there's no holding it in veg. There's no babying it until it's time for the flowering period. But I don't know. Is that specifically what you're talking about?
And their quality sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's pretty much what those guys do is they grow autos, and then that's what I bought. And I didn't know any better. And thank God you get those free seeds from those companies, because in the freebies were photo periods. And it's you just don't know what you don't know, unfortunately.
So you were just disappointed with the overall quality, working against that ruderalis.
Yeah.
gene.
Everything, just in general. And so then, start digging for more information. Then I go on to Grow Diaries, which I think is a European company. But I started to get into that. So I did Grow Diaries. And then all of a sudden I remember Grow Diaries was holding a competition where it's go on Instagram. And I never had an Instagram page ever. So I started an Instagram page September 2020. And just to learn more from the Grow Diaries thing. Then all of a sudden I started following more and more people. And I swear my grows took off. September 2020 is when I finally started to figure things out and learn and meet more people locally in Chicago and everything else. And that's when, it's been almost 1 year now that my grow has just been great. So it's been a total year and a half, but 1 year of when I joined Instagram and when just seeing and learning more has really taken hold, and just seeing what real genetics are and good genetics are and how to better control your environment and everything else.
Well, it's funny. It's funny because you've focused in on genetics a couple times. Because when you join the community, like if you join a really great membership, or if you, like you said, get on Instagram for the first time, you do get opened up to this wide world of genetics. And I've asked so many guests the same question before. I've said this hypothetical situation where I go, if you had to rank what the most important aspects to achieving high quality cannabis is, number one is always genetics. Always. It doesn't matter if I'm asking, just a random home grower or Dr. Coco. They all say genetics are the most important thing. And then the rest of the list is all mixed up, in different orders: light spectrum, proper environment, grower talent,
environment. Yeah.
all of these different
I'd say
things.
Environment and genetics are like 1 and 2 neck and neck.
Right.
Because I've had good genetics where they've gone bad. Like I had to deal with the summer. I've never had it grow in the summer, and the mold was like, the humidity just was out of control in Chicago.
Yeah, it was really bad this year. I like to talk to very, very experienced growers and then also newer growers, because you have some of the biggest revelations and the biggest aha moments early in your career. And sometimes those are the most poignant and the most educational, where like you haven't had a chance to be like jaded yet. For instance, like you said, you just experienced probably your first or second huge climate change. Back growing in Humboldt, the climate was so temperate. That's why it's so nice there. It doesn't fluctuate that much from summer to winter. Back here in the Midwest, we go from sweltering hot, humid summers, bone dry, sub-zero winters. Mm-hmm. So I'd love to talk to you fresh in your mind, like you said, about that change, which really affects your grow more than one might think. And then what you did to kind of remedy those things, like you said, the different lights you use. And what can you tell us about going through that massive climate shift?
Yeah, people don't believe us, like that Chicago runs consistently at like a 70% humidity in the summertime, like 70% plus. It really doesn't dip below, you know what I mean? Like 60 something in the summertime period end. So, you're running dehues left and right, and it works to some degree, but it's not the end all be all. And what I found with my recent harvest is that I don't think next year I'm going to do flowering in the basement, period. It's just, it eats up too much energy. It's not worth the effort and the time. And the harvest I had right now has been fantastic because I did a veg outside, and then I quarantined the plants for 3 days, sprayed them every day, a couple times a day. And then I put them into the flower room, and I had some of the best flower ever.
Whoa.
By flowering indoor later in the season, like August, September, where I can control the environment a lot better than like June, July. So
that's a fascinating take. Vegging outdoors, because when you're in a basement, like you said, like me, that humidity climbs so high.
And the heat, like, it's hard. You don't have as much control. Like, the heat's different out here too, but at least I can get that natural sunlight. Like, I'm not generating heat from my lights and other things, and like running the air conditioning. I don't have a split unit downstairs. It's just like a straight little nook in my basement I cut out, and my dad and I framed it up, and we drive. But I mean, in reality, like it's a cooler basement. So in the summertime, I'm still running cooler with the lights and stuff. I'm running like mid low 80s, like probably like 81 most of the time with the lights on. Mm-hmm. But the humidity is just, it's something that you can't really fight no matter how hard you try. So it was a better outcome, honestly. I had 5 plants just sitting on my deck, and it was a better outcome when I vegged them outside and I put them inside for flower. They turned out amazing.
Jeez, that is I don't know if I've heard that tactic before. And usually that's not usually something that would be necessary or beneficial. But in this climate, that is an interesting take.
It was more of like for the guerrilla aspect than anything that I stumbled upon. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, oh shit, these are going to get a little too fucking big. I live in a kind of a, you know what I mean? Like, I live in a suburb where people walk by my house literally every day. And, I was like, the neighbor's kind of a dick. I've got Karens for neighbors.
Oh shit. So you got to be real careful.
Yeah. And it was just one of those things that was like, you know what? I don't want these to stretch any more than they've already have. So let's just control that flower.
Stick them in the sun.
Downstairs. Yeah.
Flower them inside, stick them in the sun for veg. Never heard that before. Very, very interesting. Not a lot of people grow outdoors here. It's just not a thing.
It's miserable.
Yeah, it's so tough. And then, like you said, on top of people really not being friendly to it, you need kind of a space to grow it to begin with. And then even when you do, later on in that in that late summer just gets so hot, so humid, and then snap cold.
Yeah, I had one outdoor hidden behind, I direct sowed it in ground. You read all about IPM. I have several bottles, probably like a couple $100 in IPM solutions that I alternate and rotate and everything else just for, you get these bad bags of soil from the store that have thrips and crap. So, you just got to start out right away with that IPM. And I was doing IPM on the outdoor, and I had no idea there was a difference between actual IPM and like outdoor IPM, that you need like a product called BT or Monterey and all this other stuff for these caterpillar moths.
Yeah, no kidding.
Which just ravaged the outdoor. Like this, I had one outdoor product that would have been fantastic. I mean, it was really skunky, which was not so great. But other than that, like it was a fantastic plant, and it just got mauled by caterpillars. And I didn't realize until it was too late, like what I needed to do.
Yeah, the indoor outdoor worlds are so wildly different. As a full-time indoor grower, we really don't have any clue. I see the outdoor channel in the Discord, and it's like it's totally different set of pests. They're dealing with stink bugs and, like you said, moths. Like, don't let the moths lay their eggs. The caterpillars are gonna fucking shit all over your buds and cause botrytis. Yep. It's a totally different experience. Would you even recommend? You just did a flowering run outdoors not too long ago, is my understanding. Would you even recommend flowering outdoors here, or unless you absolutely have to? I would say just go indoors first thing if you're out in the Midwest.
100%. Like next year, like I said, I'll probably veg until like August, and then when that humidity starts to kind of die down, I'll probably bring them in again. And then if I do it again next year, I'll do like Autoflowers, but start them in May, so they'll be done by like this killer heat and humidity is done. But like I think autos suck anyways. I just kind of do them for fun. Occasionally you get surprised by a couple winners here and there, but I mean, for the most part, they're terrible.
Well, listen, I got to be careful what I say on this show because I get all sorts of nasty emails from people. People know that I've grown autos. I've grown good autos, but we all know what you're saying. Let's be honest. It's been a long slog for decades for the auto breeders refining that very wild ruderalis lineage, which only has one gene that we're after, the photoperiodism. We don't want the ruderalis for its potency or its flavor. It looks like ditchweed, you know what I mean? But it has that lack of photoperiodism gene, which is what we're after. So of course, we all know what you're talking about, There are team members of this show who are laughing and agreeing with you. But like I said, unfortunately, I got to be careful what I say.
I mean, but like Windy City Autos, that guy kills them. Yeah, I mean, there's a handful of people that kill it.
Yeah, you don't want to just generalize, but I know what you're saying.
But they kill it because like they're spending time on it. To me, the whole point is like this is a side hobby. I don't have like literally hours to invest every day mixing nutrients for these things, experimenting with nutrients on these things because if one false move, those things just go crazy. And like, you got a lockout or a deficiency. Whereas like an auto, 2 weeks could be the difference of like, harvesting and not.
Yeah, no, so, I think, like I always say on the show, I'm happy if anybody's growing anything, I am happy, but I got to agree with you, man. There's a reason I haven't run an auto since that Blue Hindu by Moscow was really enjoyable and delicious, but you do what works for you. And for me, photoperiods have so many of the qualities I'm looking for anyways. And then, like you said, they're so refined. There's so many fire fucking genetics you can go pick up right now. Like you said, you don't need to go and look for outstanding ones. You can pick up, virtually any in-house pack. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, there's so much photoperiod fire out there. So I get it. I guess I see all sides of the argument, but I am primarily a photoperiod grower for life for a reason. You did mention nutrients though. Are you? Forgive me for not knowing this. Are you an organic soil grower? Do you use a nutrient line? I forget. We'll be right back with Chitown Cannachica, but before that, the FOOP, everybody. FOOPcanna.com. Code GROWCAST15 for a limited time. That's 15% off with code GROWCAST15 at FOOPcanna.com. Fully certified organic fish waste-based nutrients. FOOPcanna.com. They're also doing a giveaway every single week. Don't sleep on this giveaway. You should be entering it weekly. You can find that at growcastpodcast.com/FOOP, F-O-O-P, and just get in on it. Every single week, someone's winning nutrients over there. Submit an email address and you're ready to rock. But use code GROWCAST15 to re-up on the FOOP Mist. Absolutely loving that mist. A full spectrum foliar product. It's one of the only ones I use, and it's got all the micro and macronutrients that your plant needs. And it's also ready to fire. You don't have to mix it. You don't have to dilute it. It comes with a little cap that has a spray bottle, and you can just use it right away. The mist is great also to kind of rapidly correct some of those mistakes you might have made. If you had lockout in your soil, you're overwatering, and your plant runs out of a certain type of nutrient, blast it with the mist, that full spectrum mist. Clones and seedlings that don't have the root systems yet, another great time to use that full spectrum mist. It immediately delivers nitrogen, calcium, micronutrients, everything you need, plus actually microbes and kelp and aloe vera. There's a couple little bonuses in there. Mycorrhiza fungi is in there. It's maybe my favorite foliar product ever. It works great in addition to their clone gel, and you'll get those fat, fuzzy roots, and your plants won't be stressing. Code GROWCAST15 for a limited time, 15% off, foopcanna.com. All right, let's get back to it with Cannachica. Forgive me for not knowing this. Are you an organic soil grower? Do you use a nutrient line? I forget.
I am a soil grower, but I am not organic.
Okay. So you do a little bit of a mix.
Yeah, I do. I do a little bit of mix. I know people are like, oh, you're going to give yourself, I had some dude say, oh, you're going to give your cancer. You're smoking cancer sticks now because you're feeding Floraflex. Oh. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, I don't know.
I was almost very, my chemistry is what I do for my work. And, at the end of the day, NPK is an element. It doesn't matter. The plant doesn't recognize if you're getting NPK from an organic source, or it doesn't recognize if you're getting it from a salt-based source. It just recognizes that nutrient and it eats it. I understand with soil that, yes, for microorganisms, so like you're feeding them. I do use products like SLF to help with the flush the salts out. I do give microbial life hydro for the soil to charge my microbes, all this.
Nice.
But it's like literally like a hybrid of both. You know what I mean? Like I'll do some tea days. I'll do some mixtures of things here and there, but like my daily nutrient is going to be Floraflex and Power Sci with CalMag. That's just the regular old stuff. It's cheap, sure. It's effective.
Man, people do very well with that Floraflex.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. They just came out with a light, didn't they?
They did. It's a private label though. Yeah.
Oh, really? And it has a built-in driver, just like the one brand that you had mentioned before, which I don't think I had heard of, but it has the driver built into the walls of the light. So for people who don't know, it's just got the frame and the bars. There's no there's no addition. It just looks really cool when it's like that. It looks very simple.
And it's inexpensive.
Yeah, good price point too. Not affiliated, guys. This isn't an ad. This is just something that I thought of. Yeah, the Floraflex, they're really killing it over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of people are growing like that now. They're, utilizing the nutrient delivery system of the chelated liquid nutrients, and then they're trying to get that, extra stimulation of the plant's immune system and all that fun, all those fun expressions that we're after by just adding bacteria, things like you said, microbe life, who we love here at Growcast, or even compost teas or fucking fish shit, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty fun. What would you say are some of the biggest breakthrough products or strategies in your 2 years of growing? Like you said, there was a big turning point. You mentioned genetics, but I don't know. What were some of the biggest aha moments, or like, holy crap, this is a product that I just cannot live without after growing for this long?
Oh gosh. So yeah, I would say it's probably like, it would probably definitely be Floraflex, because once I switched to that, my products just really became really nice, dense. I love that Power SI, and are you guys affiliated at all with? Do you guys know the Botanic Assassin in Chicago?
Yeah, no, I've seen him on Instagram.
Yeah, so he does some teaching classes here and there at some of the stores, and that's what got me into like the SLF and the Microbial Life Hydro, and then the cultured teas, which really they kind of just give you that little extra boost that you're looking for, like for soil life.
Oh,
so
nice.
I think kind of just not doing like one or the other, but like doing a combination of them all has really helped.
Oh, absolutely. I like that. So you alternate microbial inputs, I take it?
Yeah. So like, feed 3-4 times a day. And then when I get into flower, I push them hard. I go straight feed all the time. And then alternating, like every weekend, I'll do a tea. So once you do the teas, like the instants, I'm lazy. I don't have time to like an aerator and all that crazy stuff. Like just put that instant powder in there, and put some SLF in there and some other stuff.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah,
easy teas. Keep it simple.
Just drop them. Yeah, that's what they're called. They're called easy teas.
Yep.
So drop them in there, and then and like I said, buy once, cry once. Buy a nice pH pen with with ppm and EC, buy a nice stuff, test your stuff, and then after you do it for a while, like you don't need to do it all the time. You know what I mean? Like, sounds bad, but it's like once you figure out where you're going to be sitting, you don't need to like worry about it all the time. You'll test a couple times here and there. Like the city like broke a water main in front of my house. It's like I was testing the first few weeks just to make sure everything was the same, and it was. And then, after you get it kind of dialed in, yeah, you're fine.
You mentioned switching to Floraflex. Seems like you don't mind speaking your mind. I like a guest who's not afraid to say what they feel. What did you switch from? What was the big improvement going to Floraflex from?
Well, I was dabbling with a lot of different stuff. So like when I first started, like I said, I fell victim to what a lot of people did when they first started. My first ever nutrient kit was advanced nutrients.
Uh-huh.
So I know a lot of people use them. They love them. Not a big fan. It was just one of those things like you don't know what you don't know. So I got that. And then after I switched to advanced, I started with advanced. Then I switched to Lotus because it was easy. Like it was just like a 3-part system with CalMag, and it seemed pretty straightforward. And then I started to do some nectar stuff, but nectar was just like really labor intensive. Like this is like ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like I've got literally 12 bottles and I'm mixing them up. My bucket smells like a dead body.
Yeah,
and,
true.
I mean, I know people swear by nectar, and I'm like,
it's a tricky fertigation system. I'm not going to sit here and say it's the easiest. I really do like nectar, and I love the guy behind it. But I agree, it is not. Simplicity is not its strong suit.
No, and I still use like a lot of the products here and there. Like I'll mix them in. I'll throw in like the Kraken or whatever here and there. But in like the carbon extract and all that stuff, like every once in a while, I'll put that in like on a cheat day. But for the most part, I just like how Floraflex is just easy. So it sounds stupid. Like I won a Floraflex giveaway on Instagram, and I won their nutrient kit, which is like $100. And I'm like, wow, this is great. And since then, I've just been buying it.
Well, that's how it works, man. That's what happens when you believe in your product. And like you said, I see people crushing with all sorts of lines. Like for instance, Advanced is one that I see people doing really well with sometimes. But also, there's a lot of parts to it. And that's what people are attacking in the industry is like, the cost effectiveness of the nutrient delivery system. So now you've got a lot of powders. Floraflex is a powder, is it not?
Yeah, Floraflex is a powder.
So there you go. So now you're eliminating a lot of the shipping weight costs. You're reducing the price point that way drastically. I know Athena Ag is another one that's really attacking that price point along with the simplicity. And I think that's where people suffer with lines like Advanced. Also pretty salty, but I can't sit here and say, don't grow with advanced nutrients because I see some people do well.
No, but then there's great products too, like Green Grow. Like I never run like more than a couple of the same strains. So like if you're like, oh crap, I'm like short on this or whatever, sprinkle a little Green Grow powder on the top. That sounds great.
Oh, nice. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
Like the Pride Lands or the Earth Shine or that whole line. Like I do treat my soil. I buy nice soil. Like that was another thing when I first started. It was like, is this a $6 bag of Miracle Grow really that bad versus this, $25 bag from Fox Farms? They were like, well, let me cut it. So like when I first started, I cut like my first ever grow was like literally Autoflowers, and I cut like a organic bag of Miracle Grow with a bag of Fox Farms, and I was like, but now I like barely use any of those. I don't use Miracle Grow period, but like that's why my flowers, even my lemon trees this year, are fantastic because they got topped off with like some really nice indica soil and other things.
Oh, sweet. You like that Purple Cow? I love it. I've heard other people have mixed reviews. I've had nothing but success with it.
I like to mix it into some other stuff, depending on the store you buy it from and other things. Like I bought it from one store, it's like loaded with thrips, but I don't mind it. I mean, I like to mix my soils actually, like, so I'll make my own. That's cool. Essentially.
So if you're you got to step on that with something inert, right? I mean, you're not putting Floraflex on top of a rich organic soil and getting away with that, are you?
What do you mean?
Like, are you stepping on it with Pro Mix, or are you just mixing like indica with like, that's a lot of nutrition to add Floraflex to. It's interesting.
Yes. So yeah, I do. So Pro Mix HP.
Okay.
That's my base.
Okay. So you got a high porosity mix in there too.
Yeah. So
wow,
I'll do
interesting.
Pro Mix HP is my base. I don't do a whole, I have tons of bags of Floraflex veg because I'm really pounding it more in flour.
Wow.
So I'll mix like I'll mix Pro Mix HP with like a big root soil, or I'll mix it with whatever I got laying around. I really like that Royal Gold Bento mix.
I love that. You know why? It's because those super soils do so well in veg. Really where they start to differ and kind of fall apart with certain cultivars that eat a lot is in flour.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Get a little super soil in there just because it veggies so nice. And then you say you pound the crap out of it with synthetics and flour.
Yeah. And then, I'll put like mycorrhiza in there. Like I'll put that earth shine from Green Grow in there, like it's carbon, and I'll mix like a handful of like other, like just like I'll put frost in there. I'll put some bokashi in there and other things to kind of help with the microbial life. Cause it's just basically, perlite peat moss essentially is what that is. And then mix in like a super soil in there to cut it. And then I should be good for veg most of the time, depending on the cultivar.
Yeah.
But after that, like then you can just pound it hard with whatever you want flour every day, and you get a nice result. At least I do. I've heard some people are like, "Oh, that Pro Mix HP sucks." I was like, "Really? I like it."
It can get really dry. I ran it for that's all I ran for 5 years out in Humboldt County was Pro Mix HP. I think, like you said, it depends where you get it. Because if you have a high porosity soil like that, you're worried about it going anaerobic.
Mm-hmm.
If the shipping chain or the store stores it poorly, maybe that's why people have that result. Currently, I'm using the medium, the MP, and I'm enjoying that. But it's funny. I've heard that same thing. People say HP is like arid and just not any good. I ran it for 5 years in Humboldt.
Yeah,
I don't know,
but if you go 50-50 with like Mendo Mix, like it's awesome.
I like it. That's good. It's almost like the, people throw in that handful of perlite into their super soil. You're doing like a kind of different version of that and then adding synthetic nutrition when it gets hungry in flower. A couple really good tips here. I like, just as a little recap, I like the outdoor vegging in the summertime to get out of the Chicago dampness. And maybe, people down in Missouri probably have a similar situation. Maybe even people down south or in the southeast, Michigan. That's a really interesting thing that I've never heard before. And then I also like your synganic style where super soil kind of takes over veg for the majority of the veg nutrient delivery system, which is, let's be honest, where super soil really shines. And then you pound it with your synthetics and flour, which is when it's really hungry.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting stuff here, Cannachica. I'm happy. This is a
trial and error.
This is solid knowledge here. I do want to frame this up in a way, and maybe it doesn't apply to you, but we'll go into that too. You're talking about people growing here and all the challenges they face. One of the things is you go and get that medical card that you so humorously never use. It only allows you 5 plants. Now, that is a huge challenge and changes things up. You mentioned growing autoflowers. Another reason I wouldn't recommend a new grower here in Illinois ever start with autoflowers is, let's be honest, they have a higher runt rate. They have a higher chance of getting a runt. So few photoperiods are going to come out as a pure runt. Whereas, even people like Dr. Coco, even though he has a whole litany of spiel after, he says runts are more likely with autoflowers. So now let's say you're growing by 5 plants and you pop autoflowers and you get 1 or 2 runts. That's 20 to 40% of your harvest that's now been decimated. Can you speak on the challenges of a 5 plant count, or some of the things you can do with a 5 plant count, or what I might think you say is why you should just ignore a 5 plant count and never abide by a 5 plant count, wherever you want to go with this?
Well, I always say 5 plant counts like Fight Club, so we never talk about Fight Club. I mean,
plant count.
I literally have 5 plants going right now, but I also have a tray of cuttings that I'm trying to root right now for my winter run. So it's like, to me, it's the way it's the whole country. My driver's license is honored in all 50 states. My gun card is honored in, 22 states I can carry my gun in. But yet, I can go over to California with my medical card. And if I live in California, I can grow 25 plants with a medical card. If I live in some states, I can grow 8. If I live in other states, I can only grow 4. To me, I think it's the most frivolous thing. And the other thing about it is like in Illinois, if I wanted to give the state even more money, I can go buy like a hemp grower's license for $750. And no one's done the wiser what you got until you bust them out into flower near the end.
I didn't think about that.
You know what I mean? Like, it's
I do
so
know what
stupid.
you mean.
Like, it's like the dumbest. Like, we're just looking at minor technicalities. Like, if I were to grow CBD or hemp in my backyard, if I had a commercial, zone commercial or industrial, I could do it, or ag. But yet, then they $750 and another couple grand, and they come and test out your product or whatever, as long as you're not about 0.3 or whatnot. To me, it's just, man. It's so stupid. It's
fucking ridiculous. You're absolutely right. And you're right. This is put in place because they're scared that people are going to produce so much that it's going to cut into the dispensary industry, which they have rigged and overtaxed so that they can milk the cash cow. And it was written by people who know nothing about cannabis legislation. So for those who don't know, you're allowed to have 5 flowering plants above 5 inches tall. So you can have all the cuttings you want, or you can veg and keep it 4.5 inches, but 5 flowering plants. It makes no sense. Now, I am not a lawyer. Do not take this as fact. Do not act on this without further research. I heard that if you get caught, and I'm sure it depends if you have like a fucking massive scale and what they want to charge you with.
Oh, yeah.
But I heard if you get caught with more above your plant count, let's just say for the sake of argument, 24 or whatever, I heard that it's like a $200 fine. That's what I heard.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I remember the one time my father got arrested when we were in high school for having marijuana on him. And we were all like, oh my God, he just got arrested. They found a joint on him and whatever.
So whack.
I just remember my mom like yelling at him, we're hiring a fucking lawyer. And he's like, no, we don't need one. And I remember him coming home from court. And he's like, thank God you hired that lawyer. Like the lawyer goes, excuse me, did you test this? Do you even know if this is marijuana? And like, he's like dismissed. Like they just dismissed the case immediately because like they didn't even test it. Like nowadays, and like that's what my mom like freaks out. She's like, get that fucking shit off your dick. You're going to get in trouble. And I'm like, Mom, I have a fucking card. And, and I'm like, and my dad are like, how are they going to know it's not hemp? Like, you literally don't know it's not hemp until, you know what I mean? And they're not going to pay for a test. And like, they won't
100%.
know until they flower it out. And like, it's like one of those things. It's like cheating on your taxes. Everybody does it. And come and catch me.
Holy shit. Cannachica's fucking funny. I'm just going to say it. I mean, we had talked a little bit, but this is our first time really sitting down and...
We all break the law every day, though. You know what I mean? Like, tell me you didn't speed in that school zone today, or you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. It's one of those things where the letter of the law is different than the spirit of the law. And we all know it.
Yeah, I'm not selling weed to kids. I'm literally consuming it myself, making personal salads, brownies, smoking, making RSO, and giving it to my direct family members. So, like I'm not giving it to Johnny down the street at elementary school.
And again, do your research and, don't just base your life decisions off of this podcast that you've heard. But I encourage that type of dissent. I encourage that kind of low risk, personal freedom, empowering type of activity, which is fuck that plant count. What are they going to do? Grow more plants. I would. If I wasn't always putting my grow on stream, which by the way, Instagram won't let me post pics. So make sure you're on the green list or get in membership so you can check out my garden struggles at the time of this recording. Yeah, I encourage people to fuck the plant count. FTF, fuck the feds. What are they going to do? You want 24, you want 25, just do that. 5 sucks.
You can't pheno hunt 5.
Yeah, you can't pheno hunt. So how are you supposed to find your medicine?
But...
do they even understand regular genetics instead of feminized genetics? So
exactly.
So you mature out 5 plants and then half of them are fucking males. What are you thinking?
Oh, that's like one of my big epiphanies, by the way. Farmer Freeman. Like,
absolutely.
I get them all. I pay for them. They're
any of those. Yeah, we have a partner, Rimrock Analytical. Any of those gender sex testing partners are fucking huge. Thanks for shouting that out.
Worth their weight in gold.
Absolutely.
Worth their weight in gold. Because people are like, oh, I wish I had $12 to waste on that. And I'm like, dude, I don't have $12 or the time to waste or the real estate to waste on nutrients and everything else.
You get it. I do not understand when people say that. Now, I understand if you've got a bigger grow or something like that, but especially the people who like abide by the 5 plant, it's perfect for you. It's literally designed for you. You order 5 tests. And I will say this, I've been lazy before. You want to have those tests ready to go. You don't want to pop your seeds and then order the tests because it really defeats the purpose. You know what I mean?
No, but people are like, oh, could just cut a clone off and put it in the dark. I'm like,
it's way
I'm
faster.
doing this. My plants are literally like 3 inches tall.
Exactly. That's what people don't understand. If you have the tests ready to go, as soon as they develop the first set of true leaves, I snip the cotyledon and off to the races. You're right. They never get out of a propagation cone for me.
Mm-mm.
But again, I've also been lazy and been like, oh, I forgot to order that test. And now they're like they're all vegged up. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta be on top of it. Sex testing. Yeah. Solid. Yeah. Thanks for shouting that out.
That's probably my favorite product. Like any kind of sex testing is hands down my favorite. Cause like all the fire stuff nowadays is all regs.
Yeah.
I mean, you can occasionally get like femmes, but then you're, I've run into some femmes with like some mad ball problems, like Bruce Jenner femmes.
Right. I know that's come a long way too, kind of like autos have, but you're right. When you're breeding new fire as fast as the industry is, it's always going to start as regulars. Majority of the time, unless you're doing feminized breeding exclusively. Usually it's going to start as regulars because that's what people are refining and working with. And then when they kind of get around to it, they'll usually do like an S1 sort of thing. But you're right. It's almost like a step behind, you could argue. And one thing that's just fact is it's just a more limited gene pool.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? The feminized gene pool is more limited. There's less availability. If you like strain X, random strain, chances are it's irregular just based on numbers. So
100%.
Anywho, this is nice though. You fit in well here. We're rambling nicely, just like every episode of Growcast.
Sounds good.
One thing that I needed to bring up for sure was the Foster's beer can grow.
Oh yeah.
I appreciate good Instagram. You know, we all like to see pretty plant pics and you know get knowledge and things like this. But you did a really funny beer can grow. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so there's always like fun little competitions on Instagram, and there's a guy doing one where it's a breeder, and he's gonna give you a bunch of stuff, and he's like, let's do a Foster's beer can challenge. I think it's 32 ounces, and so it was kind of hard. So you just like take a cutoff tool, cut off the top, cut some holes in the bottom, and I put in living soil in there, thinking it was gonna help me, and I just stuck an in-house genetics clone in there. And it turned out I was pretty happy with the actual quality, but it runs out of water really fast. So you're watering this thing constantly. You're just having it almost like soaking in water, almost like a hydro style method. And then like I had to clip off like so many branches just because it kept tipping over. So it was like one of those things like, did I win the competition? No. Some people like killed it. Like they had just full blown plants. And I'm like, how did they do that? I suspect my quality might have been slightly better just because I feel like I had a lot more resin on my like 3 main buds. But some people had some massive Christmas trees growing out of theirs.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Wait, so let me get this straight. This was for a different contest. Was it just grow in a tiny container like a micro grow, or was it a Foster's only?
It had to be a Foster's beer can.
Is this dude Australian?
No, he sells his product in Australia, though.
Okay. There you go. That's really funny. What a great viral thing. I didn't see anyone else doing that, I don't think.
If you search the hashtag, there was a handful of us doing it. It was one of those things. I've done like the micro where it had to be like less than 50 grams of soil, and I threw an auto in there, and it was literally like 3 inches tall with one big bud.
Yeah,
took
baby.
Forever to finish. I feel like those are where you actually learn the most about growing because everything shows up faster, I feel like, and you can see, so you can learn a lot more about like water, feeding, food, everything else.
That's true.
I feel like a good genetic expression as well from pushing them that way.
Well, I think when you just stick to whatever method you're sticking to, whether or not you even have success with it, if you just keep hammering the same thing, it limits your learning capabilities. When you start to enable restrictions and kind of prerequisites to your grow, it makes you become creative. And like you said, it makes you become receptive to new information as you try to meet these new requirements. You know what I mean? So like you said, if you try to shrink down the growing medium, you might learn more about watering than if you had just normally continued in your own method.
And that's the biggest thing about what we do. It's like, if you're stuck in your ways, like you always got to be changing, always. Just because everything's changing so fast is with all the products, the industry, just the environment, like you're still dealing with Mother Nature at the end of the day. So they're always going to win no matter how hard you try.
Yeah.
And it's just, you got to be adaptable. Like that's what I get a kick out of, like when I like see some of these like old time growers at the grow shop, they just say things as fact. Like they know it. Like I barely, I've been doing this for 1.5 years and I still hear what they say. And I'm like, you don't have a freaking clue what you're talking about, but okay.
Well, you know what? I got to say this. You're absolutely right. You do have to keep an open mind, and you will run into those situations where you see someone giving what you observe, and let's be honest, what's objectively bad advice. But I will say, having done this show now for fucking, I don't know, 6 years or something crazy like that, that never stops. You will continually readjust your beliefs about this plant and cultivation and fucking even the physics of the world, how photons work and how photons interact with living beings. Like, I'm here to tell you, if you are truly not biased and you are truly objective, you will continually reshape those beliefs. Like you said, because you'll hear someone come on and do an interview and just explain something so succinctly that'll completely change the way you feel about the flushing or defoliating or these hot button issues, I think that the ultimate goal is, like you said, to remain objective and adapt, as you put it. Change those beliefs to best suit your garden.
100%.
So yeah, I like that. What is that? An openness, a willingness to learn.
Yeah, but it's like everything. Like at the end of the day, there's still the you factor. You know what I mean? Like I can buy the same exact golf clubs Tiger Woods has, use the same exact equipment, wear the same exact outfit. At the end of the day, like it's still me, and I ain't
Tiger Woods.
Exactly. So like I could watch the Jungle Boys with Athena and do all this crazy stuff, but at the end of the day, I ain't the Jungle Boys. So
no, that's absolutely true. And another interesting part of growing is what works best for you certainly doesn't mean that it works best for everybody. I mean, we talk about these regional grow strategies. Holy cow. I having grown on the West Coast and then back here in the Midwest, just wait, Cannachica. If you ever move, if you become like Miami Cannachica or like, like Rhode Island Cannachica or whatever, you're going to be like, what the fuck? It's totally different.
I can't even imagine.
The different climate, the different tap water, the different plant count, whatever it may be, the different plant count to ignore. Yeah, it's just interesting the way that switches up.
Yeah, it's crazy because you hear people in Arizona, they're like, our water is terrible. And you're like, well, we get like Michigan water. So like our water is actually not bad.
Oh God, Algonquin up here, we've got it awful. We sit between two quarries.
You guys get, Fox. Like, so I'm in Bartlett and we just switched to like Michigan water.
Oh.
So that's why our water bill is one of the highest in the state. But fortunately, like we do have Lake Michigan now instead of we used to get like an Elgin well.
Oh, I see. Elgin has horrible lead contamination too.
Yeah, I mean,
let's get local.
Again, in Illinois, we have high radon. So like our soil here has high rate. Everything's high radon in Illinois.
Ooh, it's so spooky. I'm going to shout this out one more time, and it's kind of an outdated medium. But first of all, you can go get your water tests and test for all sorts of stuff. You can also go to your municipality website, and they should post their tests.
Mm-hmm.
But you can also, if you just want to like cruise around the nation, you can go to the EWG tap water database. I believe it's ewg.org/tap. Just Google EWG tap water database. Like I said, it's a little bit outdated. I think it's been updated like 2 years ago or something, or maybe 1 year ago. But you can punch in a zip code and then you get the contaminants that are above the safety levels. It is fun. And you just go around Illinois and some of the areas, especially out in the western suburbs, are just fucking terrible. Terrible.
Oh, yeah. Barium and radon, they have to shut wells down consistently. They report it too. They're like 3 times above EPA recommended. And you're just like, whoa. Like, good thing I never drink the water here. I mean, I'd take a shower in it.
Yeah, I don't know how we're not more outraged about that at this point.
I know.
Like, we're literally...
When we pay the water bills that we pay and the property taxes that we pay, and yet they're still, it's like, it's not exactly Flint, Michigan, but it ain't much better.
I mean, we're a couple steps away. That's for sure. So you're absolutely right. And interestingly enough, up here, I know the problem is... what is it? The Bazinga quarry, and Algonquin sits between 2 quarries. And when you remove all the rock mineral out of the ground, that's the filtration system, is how Mary Beth explained it. I'm sure I'm butchering this, but now basically when you have industrial runoff and pesticide runoff, any sort of compounds that's traveling in runoff, there's nothing to filter it. It moves all around. It gets into all the water supplies, and it just becomes completely mobile. So again, sitting right between 2 quarries. Big gaping holes, missing filters. Algonquin is fucked.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, man, it's fun. Fun times in Illinois, folks. That's
Chicago proper has some of the best water in the nation.
Is that right?
Actual Chicago has like some of the best drinking water.
Go figure.
And yet,
I did not
and here
know
we
that.
are.
There you go. I mean, we sit on the largest freshwater supply in the world.
Yep.
Absolutely nuts. I feel like we started off a different path, like way back on the question when I was asking about the weather changes. And it's been great. We're going to wrap it up here in just a couple of minutes. Before that, though, I do want to drill down on one more thing. Back to the weather. Back to your experience. Again, I love talking to new growers on this show just occasionally to kind of get into the new grower's mind. You started with LEDs, right? You never have had a gas bulb?
Nope.
That fascinates me, first of all. There's like, that's new. And obviously you struggle with enough heat in the winter with those LEDs. So you said that you play with where the driver is located. I want to make sure you have a chance to talk about that and maybe shout out, any light companies you like and things like that.
Yeah. So environment is, I think next to genetics, environment's like the key. Like that's probably and that's the hardest thing to control, whether you're inside or outside, period end. And basements, naturally, because we're lucky we have basements in the Midwest. Basements are probably the most predominant area we're going to see a grow, in my opinion, just because of the smell and the space usage and other things.
The wife.
So, yeah, I don't have any problem with that. I have my own house, but yeah, so it's like you have to like play with your whole environment. I feel like I can keep the temperatures fairly controlled down there. I mean, it's never going to be below like 65 degrees. It's never going to be above like 80 in my specific room. I'm able to vent outside pretty easily for exhaust. You're right by the circuit breakers. I've got a spigot down in the basement for water, for feed. The humidity is a little higher sometimes in the summer, but in the winter, it's actually a little bit more moist down there as well. So I'm not like in the 30s or 40s. Like sometimes people are in the winter, you control it with the humidifier, obviously, and spraying your plants when they're in veg to get your VPD up higher. But then I also, I guess I have 4 really nice lights I've invested in, and 2 of them have drivers mounted in the middle. So they're like 8 and 10 bar lights where they have the drivers in the middle. Those are obviously going to produce a lot more heat with those drivers. So those are the ones I like to use in the winter. And then the ones where I can mount the drivers outside of the tent, those are the ones that are in the room itself. That's where I'm going to use those lights in the summertime.
Right. Yeah, I have trouble even keeping it up above like the low 70s. We consider like 72 room temperature, right, as humans, but like we're clothed. And I don't think, especially in veg, when they like it a little bit warmer, I'm not sure that 72 also depends on where your reader is. Where you're, what kind of reading you're getting. Sometimes I feel like, those low 70s aren't warm enough. Do you maybe agree with that?
Yeah, I do. And that's why I run, I have a tiny little fan heater from like Home Depot. It was like $20.
Yeah.
Anything bigger than that, I feel like it gets too hot too quick. But if I run that on medium and I just have it on a timer for like 15 minutes every hour, I'm able to get my heat where I need it to be. And I call it my meditation room. So in the winter, when I go down there, I'm like, it's you get that natural sunlight. When you get that winter depression, you're like, I don't mind working in the garden because it's hot.
Yeah.
It's got a nice humidity in there. Like, have you ever been to like the Garfield Park Conservatory? Like in the dead of winter, you can go in there and it's like you're walking into Florida. That's kind of how I wanted my basement to be. And that's how it is in that little 6x13 room. So
damn, I love it.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
So it's like putting panda paper above the ceiling, you know what I mean? Where the joists are. So like there's no joists exposed. It's like pretty much I have a air exhaust in, air exhaust out. The door, I can, open it or close it completely just to kind of regulate the heat of as much as I need to.
So you went old school. You built a grow room.
Yeah.
Fuck a grow tent.
Yeah. Well, I do a tent for flower, and that's what kind of affords me like why I'm able to do autoflowers. It's like my veg area is like 4x5 and my flower tent's a 4x4. So
right. You mentioned the flower tent. I see. Okay. So it's inside a grow room. I like that. Yeah, that's old school. And you guys know I love the grow tents. You know I'm kidding when I say fuck a grow tent, but I also mean it sometimes because like, God damn, it was so nice to work in a room. If you're going to do a grow tent, sometimes it's so good to just upsize it. Like, fuck it. Just upsize it. Upsize it like crazy so that you're not always crouching and like, tiptoe stepping over shit. You know what I'm saying? So it sounds like your room is big enough to where you can actually enjoy it, I guess is my point.
Yeah. And so like come like April, May, I start seedlings in there for like the garden, tomatoes, all that good stuff. So it's a nice thing to have that flexibility to have like an actual room. Like I said, it's 6x13. So I got in the front of the areas where I do all my the lights are set up. In the back is where I have all my nutrient station, buckets of water, and and then on the outside of the grow tent is an actual like outdoor spigot. So I'm able to like just fill up my buckets of water, let them sit to dechlorinate for a couple days, and then just kind of mix up my nutrient solutions, and then go in there and as needed. I've always wanted to do some sort of an automatic watering system. I've got like an auto pot system I'm going to start dabbling with, but I feel like I need to play more with the genetics first and see like how these plants react before I like go cold onto a auto system.
Yeah, okay. I like this. So that's the tease for the Chitown Cannachica. Go and follow her on Instagram, of course. It's a lovely page, lovely photographs, and we'll stay tuned for all the improvements, all that good stuff. Any other future plans? You're going to expand? Are you just like having fun on Instagram and showing off your grow?
Yeah. I mean, it's just fun. I mean, all my photos are shot with my iPhone 8. Nothing special. It's just nice to like, get some exposure and learn more. And that's all I'm there for, is like to learn from others, maybe to help some other people out. Like I have some people, it's crazy to think like I walk on water. I'm like, Jesus, I barely know what I'm doing, but yeah, I'll help you guys out. There's some folks I've met in like Kentucky and stuff, like where I'll just like mail people some clones. They're like, hey, those look great. And I'll like mail people stuff, give people stuff.
You better be careful. You know what you're doing right here?
What's that?
You better be careful. Growcast members are going to flood your DMs. They're going to be like, what kind of clothes you got?
I was going to say, yeah, it's just like you're just helping people out. That's all. Like if I have,
I know what you
know
mean.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like one guy's like, hey, you got an extra cloner? And I'm like, sure. Here's the cloner. It's like going to be $30 to ship it. And I just stuck some stuff in there for him. You know what I mean? Like it's a good community out there. There's some like negative, but it's a nice place to be, to learn. And I like to get people's feedback. I mean, I hate the unsolicited feedback where they're like, looks like you need more CalMag. I'm like, no, I don't. That's the picture. Like sometimes the pictures don't turn out exactly, perfect.
No, if you're on Instagram, there's going to be people who will make a crappy comment, but generally those people are just frustrated in their own garden. This was a wonderful interview, though. Thank you for your time, Chitown Cannachica.
No, thank you.
We appreciate
it.
Of course. We will wrap up the show here, everybody. As I said, follow Cannachica, follow Growcast. Check us out. Make sure you're subscribed. We have a whole month of features across the globe. This is going to be a really fun month, and then we'll move on to a different theme for January and beyond. This is Chitown Cannachica and Jordan River signing off, saying have an amazing day, everyone. Be safe out there and grow smarter. That's our show for today, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in yet again. Thank you to Cannachica. What a wonderful first-time guest. She tells it like it is, man. I have to say, I enjoyed that episode. I know you did too. We will see all sorts of growers from all over the country, and I believe we're going outside of the U.S. as well at the end of this month. Worldwide December, baby. We're not stopping. I'll tell you what else isn't stopping. The Order of Cultivation. growcastpodcast.com/join the order. This is the way to grow, everybody. Connect more deeply with the cannabis community as you join a chapter in the order, meet new growmies, work your way up in rank, enjoy the hundreds of hours of bonus content we have, and live web shows, all in the Order of Cultivation. growcastpodcast.com/join the order. That's one word, join the order. Come on in, everybody. You will not regret it. Our Discord is the place to be. There is no better community in cannabis, if I say so myself. All right, that is it for today. Thank you so much for listening. Hope you guys are just doing magical things in your grow tents or your gardens, however you're growing. We'll see you next time, everybody. Bye-bye.